Hello there, my name's David Hancock from Indus Experiences. I'd like to talk to you today about the tour that you're taking with us, Lands of Fire and Wine. The tour leader is Chris Aslam and he will meet you on arrival in Baku. But before we get to that, there's just a few things I'd like to talk to you about. Firstly, when you're travelling out to these places, make sure that all your visa documentation is in order. And then if we're talking about packing, we recommend you pack a suitcase that has wheels, as I will talk to you about border transfers later on. First of all, you're going to be flying to Baku with Turkish Airlines via Turkey. I'm lucky enough to have been to Baku several times. So when you arrive in Baku, you will be met on arrival at the airport. Baku Airport is a modern airport. I travelled out there 30 years ago and then 20 years ago and then 5 years ago, so I've seen the changes. Baku now is the main city in Azerbaijan and the transformation is quite unbelievable. I'm lucky enough to stay at the Radisson, which is where you'll meet Chris. The Radisson is on the seafront. When I first went to Baku, the seafront consisted of some 1960s and 1970s funfair rides for children. It's been totally and utterly transformed, and now the seafront, or the Corniche as they like to call it, is equivalent to places like Dubai, Doha, where new properties have been built, some stunning parks have been put in place, and the whole area's got cafes, bars and restaurants. The highlight of the tour in Baku is the Maiden's Tower. The Maiden's Tower is in the old city of Baku. The fabulous thing about the old city, it's quite a large preserved old city and it's easily walkable from your hotel. However, obviously in the time that you have there, our guide will take you through to see the Maiden's Tower. Across the road from the Maiden's Tower, there are two cafes that I would recommend if you get a chance. One is called the Quizkrali Karbagi, but that gets really busy with tourists. So my recommendation would be to go to the Mugham Club Cafe just round the corner. Just a personal thing that I like to do when I'm there. Once you've seen the old city, the new city of Baku has the most amazing architecture. The conference centre has been built where the roof looks like, I think it's like a swan, or it's in a curved shape, and the way that they've done the architecture is you can sort of see it from above, but within minutes you're actually on top of the convention centre. So if you're interested in architecture, there's an awful lot to see in Baku. Safe place. Once you've left Azerbaijan, you'll be travelling into Georgia. Tbilisi, the capital of Georgia, is a very, very amazing city. I went there first in 1984 and subsequently was there 4 years ago. You'll get to experience the cable car, and for those that don't want to do the cable car, it's perfectly acceptable to wait a beautiful cafe at the bottom of the cable car. Once you get to the top, the views over Tbilisi are absolutely amazing. Again, Georgia's been completely transformed since it left Russia. You will find a modern city, but still with an old town from the past. One of the stops on the tour in Georgia is Sigani, which, if you didn't know it, it looks like you could be in Siena in Tuscany. It's absolutely stunning and it's very, very authentic, and you'd have to pinch yourself to believe you're not in Italy. The other highlight is the Stalin Museum. Stalin was Georgian, and if you're interested in the old Russian propaganda videos, the posters, the vehicles, even the original train carriage that Stalin used to travel around the sort of Soviet Union, well worth going to see it. I spent many hours there. Batumi is now Georgia's premier Black Sea resort. Batumi again has gone through a massive transformation in the last 20 years since Georgia separated away from Russia. Batumi has everything that a modern city, somewhere like Dubai, Doha, it's quite unbelievable. They have an amazing cable car that goes across the whole of the city. The beaches are fantastic, and they've still got some really nice authentic Georgian food restaurants. The food in Georgia is absolutely fantastic, especially the local made ice cream. I'd now like to talk about the important part of the trip, which are the preparation side. There's no immunisations that are required, but please check with your own GP for up-to-date requirements. There also are some exemptions on medicines that can be taken into that region. please check the notes that will be sent to you shortly. Border crossings. You're travelling across 2 land borders. You will be responsible for taking the luggage across the border. So once you disembark from a coach, you'll walk across the border, you'll meet our representatives the other side, but as you're walking across the border, you will have to transport your luggage across the border before you get back into another coach. That will happen between Azerbaijan and Georgia, and also Georgia and Turkey. It's a relatively easy procedure, but please make sure if you can, you have cases that have the wheels in case you have problems carrying. About currency, virtually every cafe, restaurant, hotel, bar, souvenir shop has machines to take cards. If you want to take dollars or euros, make sure they're small notes and they're clean notes. Grubby US dollars tend not to be wanted by the shopkeepers, and if you do get rid of them, they'll give you a much lower rate than if it's a nice note that's quite clean. We recommend on this particular tour, we don't recommend one group leader to collect tips on behalf of everybody else. We would say between $4 and $7 per person to be paid directly to the driver and to the guide. For clothing, because of the time of year and the part of the world you're going to, you don't need to have winter clothes, even you're travelling into the mountains. Normal clothes during the day can be jeans, shirts. Evenings though, we'd always recommend a light sweater or a lightweight jacket, just because sort of when you're in the mountains it can get a little bit cold, but it isn't sufficient to have heavy winter jumpers. Footwear, recommend good sturdy shoes, as there will be an element of walking in this tour. Other things to think about in terms of the airline, flying with Turkish Airlines is a very, very good airline. Turkish Airlines are one of the very few airlines that actually have their own coffee barista on board, and after you've finished your meal you will be able to select completely coffee that suits you, which is something that you don't always see on European airlines. New Istanbul airport is huge. It's actually twice the size of the airport in Dubai, so please bear in mind there will be long distances potentially between flights. When you arrive, you should be checked in at Heathrow or from the UK where you're flying. They will advise you there of the gate that you're flying onto Baku with, but please pay attention to the destination boards and any announcements. As soon as you land from the UK, please make your way to the gate or the terminal departure for the flight onto Azerbaijan. If anybody does have any questions, please contact the office for further details. You'll enjoy this trip. It is part of the world that is absolutely fascinating. People are very warm, very friendly. Most people speak English. If you do speak a little bit of Russian, as I do, that will definitely help you. Thank you for listening to me. Have a good trip. And again, if anybody has anything they want to discuss, contact the office.